Hi, our grapes arrived today and we're going to be planting 300 Sangiovese grapes. If you've ever thought of planting your own grapes or starting a backyard vineyard, this is the video for you. In this video, you will learn about how to transplant grapevines, grafted grapevines and other vineyard terms, and how we help our plant survive drought. Throughout the video, you will be walking down the vineyard looking at the newly planted grape rows. The vines we are planting this year are Sangiovese grapes. This is an Italian grape most commonly used in Chianti wines. Grapes of European origin, like Sangiovese, belong to the species known as Vitis vinifera. Vitis vinifera is difficult to grow because when phylloxera attacks its root system, it cannot adapt like grapes of American heritage. So you will notice the scion in this picture, which is the union of the Sangiovese stem that has been grafted onto American rootstock. The grape itself will have the same genetics as the stem and the leaves because they will develop from the Sangiovese tissue, but what's below the soil will be more hardy to pests like phylloxera. So when we transplant grapevines, we use a reverse post hole digger because it's easier to push than pull when digging holes, a Wolverine spade made in Holland, Michigan, which we use to split the ground open at least 18 inches deep. We'll also need a razor knife to remove the grapevines from their packaging, conduit pieces for support, 2 5-gallon buckets, one for the plants and one for the root dip polymer, a scoop, and a wagon or a cart. Root dip is a polymer which turns into a slurry when mixed with water. It retains the water and slowly releases it during drought conditions. This means that we rarely have to water our grapevines. We use 1 cup of polymer per 5 gallons of water. However, root dip is optional. If your grapevines will be located within reach of a hose, you could also just water them regularly. First, we're going to plant our posts in so that we know where to put our plants. We use 8-foot landscape timbers. We line the timbers up 9 feet from the previous row and we keep an eye on the new line being formed. Normally we place them 24 feet apart, but this year our vines arrived 2 weeks early, so we skipped every other post to save time but still keep our lines. Dad uses a reverse post hole digger that he bought from Tractor Supply. It relies on chest strength instead of back, and it's heavy so the gravity can work for you. We used to use a gas-powered auger, but Dad can still dig a hole with the reverse post hole digger just as quick, without the smell of exhaust. Plus, it's a great workout. Drop it in, rake it up, and we have our line of sight. That makes keeping the grapes in a straight line easy. We used to use bamboo poles for support, but we're an all-natural and sustainable farm and we don't like the bamboo because it harbors insects and mildew. This year, we're using conduit scraps and breaking it into posts about 3 feet tall. They break really easily with just a few bends. We place our vines in a 5-gallon bucket with a little bit of root dip with some cardboard for shade. We only bring them out in small bunches to prevent them from drying out. The ideal root length is about 18 inches. Some years we had to trim off several inches. This year, however, our stock had some really poor root development. Here's some pictures. Now that everything we need is set up, it's time to start planting. First, we line up where to dig in line with the posts we set and the previous year's vines. Dad has also used a post hole digger, but says not to do this in clay-filled areas as it will trap the plant in a clay pot. The spade works great for separating the soil. Dad works the spade back and forth to create enough space to slide the roots down into the 18-inch slice. Sometimes the roots need a little help to get to the bottom. It's extremely important when transplanting grafted vines to keep the scion above the soil or it will develop its own root system, which kind of defeats the purpose of grafting. On the other hand, if the scion is too far above the soil, it will not be protected during winter by snow and will have great exposure to wind chills. We use a 2-finger rule. If the scion is less than 2 fingers above the soil, it might develop its own roots, and if it's more than 2 fingers, it will be too exposed to winter wind chills. When planting vines with their own roots, we place the crown right at the soil top. We only use Blue X shields when we have issues with rabbits or deer. The vines don't thicken or lignify as quickly when using the shields. Dignifying is the process of the stems becoming woody, which is important for winterizing and strength. 1 down, 349 to go. If you'd like to see a video about grape trellises or cloning grapes, let us know in the comments and we will try to make that video. If you are interested in buying grapes, comment and we might be able to sell you some. What did the grape say when it was squished? Nothing. It just let out a little whine. If you're planting your grapes for wine, well, you can whine all you want, because you won't be ready to harvest for 3 years. The first 2 years, we use to train our grapes to a trellis system, which we can show in a future video. The last year, the 3rd year, is when you can finally harvest your grapes. Our fall order depends on how much area the goats clear and prep. We typically plant 350 to 500 vines per year, but we have planted 750 vines in a single week. If you're thinking about planting grapes, I highly recommend this method. Dad has a master's degree in viticulture and had a knee replacement 6 months ago, so you know the method is based on the best practice and almost anyone can do it. Hi there, we're the Vineyard Chicks and we'd really like to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. Go ahead, click it now. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next video. Thank you!